Hi, welcome to my channel, Reader Woman. My name's Judy, and instead of let's talk books, let's talk tags. I have come across one that I just suddenly found myself going, I have some things to talk about here, so let's talk about it. This is the 25 yet more random questions. I didn't start with the first one, this was the second one, by Steve Donahue. I'll list the questions and everything down below. The first question is, what's the hottest temperature you've ever experienced? Well, I grew up in Southern California. We were desert, and it was hot. It wasn't, we lived with air conditioning in the summer, but probably the hottest I can remember was as a kid. We would travel on vacation, and we went through, oh Lord, we would travel the desert at night, and Bakersfield, that's it, Bakersfield. My poor brother ended up with a little heat stroke from the sun coming in the window, and we had to put a towel in there, and he was not feeling too well. So we always dealt with heat, but nothing too extreme. I mean, probably 110, that would probably be about it. But it was a desert heat, so it was, of course, a dry heat. Unlike what I put up with now. Number 2, and the coldest. Being a Southern California woman, trust me, I don't like cold that much. I mean, I like cool, damp weather just fine. The coldest I remember, I was working in downtown Bellingham where I live, and it had snowed, and we had a nor'easter that was blowing down from Alaska. And I remember looking out the window at the snow being driven down the street by this wind, and it was like minus, I don't know, 15 or something like that, and that was the coldest I've ever been. I've encountered that kind of cold, but nothing extreme. I haven't gone to the Arctic poles at all, so nothing too bad. And I'm sure a hardier person would say, yeah, what's the big deal? 3, what is the fastest you've ever traveled without the aid of technology? Tobogganing is about the only thing I can think of, and we did have a lot of fun. We had this big family toboggan, and there'd be like 4 of us on this, and we used that until we broke it. It was so much fun coming down, but so much hard work trudging up to get down the hills. And in Southern California, you had to go up to the snow, so there was nothing home-like about it. 4, what's the highest you've ever been off the ground without technology? Off the ground, I don't think I have. Maybe a foot jumping. Yeah, weird question. All right, what's a trivial thing that annoys you? I become the biggest biatch in the world if I feel like I am doing the dishes when I shouldn't have to. And the more I wash, the madder I get. So instead of it being a Zen experience where my anger is worked out through the cleansing of the dishes, I just become a raging monster afterwards. It takes me a long time to calm down on that one. All right, 6. If you could only compare the novels of Margaret Atwood to one kind of intestinal disorder, what kind of intestinal disorder would you compare the novels of Margaret Atwood to? I would say constipation. All right, 7. Sasquatch, Loch Ness Monster, UFOs, any chance? Of course there's a chance. I mean, we live in a world where a lot of strange and unusual things happen. I live in the Pacific Northwest, and we do not see that many Sasquatch sightings. So I really don't know. Maybe. I'm willing to give it a maybe, not a definite no. 8, are you traumatized by vomiting? No. 9, if you suddenly had a big empty bookcase, how fast would you fill it? This is one of those questions I wanted to talk about because I have one. I am in the middle of, not in the middle, I'm through this major move in my home. I've had to give up my library to get books out of there so I can put my computers and have a working area for the business. So we downsized, and the garage is now all equipment, and the library office is now a workstation and office with some books in it. So I have this large bookcase. My thought is, and I have this one over here that's full. So I just haven't had the energy. I want to move that bookcase over to here and fill it up. I want the dark bookcase in the room, the bedroom. And then my thought is, which I don't know if I'll get to it, is since the desks and all that are kind of metal, and they have like light oak look to them, to the tops of them, my thought was to put the oak bookcases downstairs. But that means I've got to rearrange 3, 4 bookcases. And, sorry, Sawyer, I'm talking. Excuse me just a minute. Well, that has only been temporarily taken care of. There's a ball under the bed that he wants me to get, and I'm not sure if I'm getting it tonight. So we'll see what happens. Okay, back to my bookcase situation. I may actually be getting rid of a bookshelf. Can you believe it? I think I'm going to buy another one because this one is vertical, and I want one that's horizontal to go under a mirror instead of a dresser is what I'm thinking about for my bedroom. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm in an unusual situation. I've got books, in bags yet, but I don't want to put them out until I get this thing solved. So hopefully I will find a inexpensive, nice, dark wood bookcase that goes horizontal, and I will be happy. So yeah, I want to discuss that. Let's see here. Have you ever been in a swamp? Nope. Do you know how to bake? Yes. But I try very hard not to bake. Don't need the calories, and I bake on occasion. I baked today for a picnic party, but yeah, I tend not to bake. But I love to bake. It's a wonderful outlet. Let's see here. Do you currently hate anybody? Okay, I have to preface that. Yes, but not in my personal life. I just hate some of the things going on in the world, and I do blame a few people for it. Let's see here. Do you sing in the shower? Not really. I live with somebody, and so I don't do that. What's the greatest height from which you've safely fallen into the water? Once again, growing up in Southern California, my mom did not swim, so when she had 2 kids, she's like, you're going to swim. You're going to learn how to swim. So we were taken, summer after summer to Chaffee Junior College, and where they had 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools, and it was just great. And so I dove off the small diving thing and also the big tower. Um, Enjoyed that greatly. I wouldn't do it today though. Do you have any pet peeves? Yes. People's stupidity in cars. I just today. I mean, I feel like I have on the front of my bumper stick, in my front of my bumper, it's like, oh yeah, pull out in front of me. I mean, yes, I get very aggravated with other drivers. So I have taken what I think is the proper thing to do. I tell them off in my car, in the privacy of my car, but that's as far as it goes. I don't, honk or anything like that, but I most certainly relieve my stress and pressure verbally to myself. How many non-human species have kissed you? Okay. Dog, a cat. I don't know. Maybe a fish? I don't know, it's hard to tell with fish. Well, let's safely say 2. I was held back as a child from having a lot of pets. All right. Let's see here. Are you passionate about politics? I'm passionate about my dog, Sawyer, barking. Just a minute. Sorry, I had to put him out of the room. I know, I'm a bad person. Are you passionate about politics? How do I say this? No. But I am passionate about knowing what's going on right now. I feel like we are in a very dark time in our country, and that I cannot afford to not know what's going on. So I've tended to be, a little political, but now I'm far more political than I've ever been in my life. Not from natural bent, but simply because I feel that it's just something that I morally have to do. So, 18. What would your friends say is your dream job? Well, I've always wanted to be a publisher, a book publisher. I, have taken on a couple of small projects in my earlier years, but, as I get more towards retirement, I think it'd be fun to do that as well and see where that takes me. 19. Is your YouTube crush cuter than your booktube crush? Well, I would hope so. I mean, crush. I don't know crush, but yeah, I would say that the complete YouTube, it's a lot. Yes. Have you ever been well and truly lost? And this is another thing I was like, I've got a lot to say about that. When I was 5 or 6, my brother and I were our great uncle had died, and we were in this small town that my dad had grown up at, and my mom and dad had taken us to the park. This being the early 60s, mid-60s, they left us. So we played for, I don't know, an hour or so, and then it just felt like time to go home. And I was the oldest, and it was my job to protect my brother. And we went out of the park at a different exit and entrance than how we came in. And I was utterly lost. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to get us home safely because I didn't know where my great uncle's home was at. And I remember holding my little brother's hand, and both of us just sobbing our hearts out on a street corner in a little town called Grandview, Washington. So, anyways, yes, I have been truly lost, and it is scary. 21. If you were handed $1,000 and weren't allowed to invest or save it, how would you spend it? $1,000. Well, I'd get that bookcase. And I think I might invest in some books. I have my eye on several. I really want to get the Loch classics, the ones that are printed in either Latin or Greek on one side with the English translation. I want to get the 3 tomes of Cicero, and they're like 26 each. You know, I've tried to find them cheaper on eBay, and I haven't found them. They're still like $25, and it's like, I'm not going to spend $25 when I could buy new on Amazon. So, and the other one, Penguin Classics, has reprinted Jane Austen, and these lovely hardbound books that I would really love. So I would add some books to my collection, that's for sure. And number 22, what's your current YouTube guilty pleasure? Guilty pleasure. Well, there is a whole genre of women over the age of 50 on beauty products. And I never thought, I mean, I use minimal, if none, no makeup my whole life. And yet, they've sucked me in. These women with their beautiful skin, you know, it's like, so I have bought some potions. I tried doing makeup, but I just don't think so. 23. Have you ever been in a natural disaster? I guess I've been in a couple, although I wasn't, you know, in harm's way at all. But in Southern California, I was in a few earthquakes. And it's really an odd experience. I was not in any of, you know, the major ones, or if it was a major, we were not in any kind of epicenter. But yeah, the earth has moved under my feet a few times. And when I was coming to Washington State, I drove through I-5 the day after Mount St. Helens blew. And my dad was like, okay, you've got to stop at relatives, you know, you can't just drive up here. And I was down in Oregon at the time, and I'm like, oh, whatever, you know. Typical late, well, I wasn't a teenager at the time, but that kind of thinking. And I remember driving through, looking over the side and seeing all these really big trees, and man, those rivers were awfully muddy. And inside, it's like all that ash was coming down, and in fact, the highway was closed at, you know, just an hour or two after I'd gotten through. So peripherally, I was a part of Mount St. Helens, but I really had no idea of how big it was. Number 24, where do you get your news, if you do? I find that kind of interesting as well. Every time I open my computer, it comes up to CNN. CNN's my homepage. So I at least see the headlines. I don't necessarily read all the articles, but I do try and keep track of what's kind of going on. First thing in the morning, I get a news feed 5 days a week from Huffington Post, which I find informative, but obviously a little slanted towards the left. And then I also am getting the Skim. Somebody on YouTube suggested it. I signed up for it. It's, I don't know, about 3/4 of it is just a rehashing of the Huffington Post. Excuse me. But occasionally there are different articles. So that's why I continue to read it. I read the New Yorker. I just subscribed, so I've been haphazardly reading the New Yorker, but I do tend to get news feed from there. I am now very cautious about where my news articles come from. I do double check and make sure that they are coming from reputable sites. I do not watch what I consider alternative news medias like Fox News, Breitbart, Rush Limbaugh. I heard the argument by Steve Donahue about why he does. I just don't think, for me, I just don't know that that's really what I want to do. I don't consider them balanced at all, and I realize that a lot of what I do get is not balanced, but it's not fake news. They're not making things up. They're not just vilifying people to vilify people. It is based on some facts. So, anyways, yeah, I don't regularly, read the Russian trolls or look at those other kind of media sources. I find them quite annoying, but obviously I'm getting my news sources from a bias of truth. They may have a slant, but they're not out there passing lies out either. So just had to say that. What's the most unexpected good thing you've discovered about making booktube videos? I'm too new in the game. I have 16 subscribers. My dream is 64, so maybe that'll happen in the next couple of years. What I find enjoyable is getting to talk about books. And I find that fascinating, always interesting. I enjoy, just being a little bit part of the community. And yeah, I find it very satisfying that in my spare time, or if I'm, I've never been a podcast person, but I will sit and just kind of listen to YouTube videos too or rather booktube videos. It's exciting. I have not had anyone in my life who has been as obsessed by books as myself. So it's awfully cool to get to know all of you. So that is the last question on this tag, and if you watch this, I tag you. If any of these questions are of interest to you, yeah, let's get on board and hear about your thoughts and your answers to these wacky list of questions. So anyways, I hope everyone is having a great reading life, and we will talk soon. Bye.